Course in Miracles 384. Beyond the body. There is nothing outside you. That is what you must ultimately learn. For it is the realization that the kingdom of heaven is then restored to you. For God created only this, and he did not depart from it, nor leave it separate from himself. The kingdom of heaven is the dwelling place for the Son of God, who left not his Father, and dwells not apart from him. Heaven is not a place, nor a condition. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness, and the condition that there is nothing else, nothing outside of this oneness, and nothing else within. What could God give but knowledge of himself? What else is there to give? The belief that you could give and get something else, something outside of yourself, has cost you the awareness of heaven and of your own identity. And you have done a stranger thing than you yet realize. You have displaced your guilt to your body from your mind. Yet a body cannot be guilty, for it can do nothing of itself. You who think that you hate your body, deceive yourself, for you hate your mind, for guilt has entered into it, and it would remain separate from your brothers, which it cannot do. Minds are joined, bodies are not. Only by assigning to the mind the properties of the body does separation seem to be possible, and it is mind that seems to be fragmented and private and alone. Its guilt, which keeps it separate, is projected to the body, which suffers and dies because it is attacked to hold on to the separation of the mind, and let it not know its identity. Mind cannot attack, but it can make up fantasies and direct the body to act them out. Yet it is never what the body does that seems to satisfy. Unless the mind believes the body is acting out its fantasies, it will attack the body by increasing the projection of its guilt upon it. In this, the mind is clearly delusional. It cannot attack, but it maintains it can. It uses what it does to hurt the body to prove it can. The mind cannot attack, but it can deceive itself, and this is all it does when it believes it has attacked the body. It can project its guilt, but it will not lose it through projection. And though it clearly can misperceive the function of the body, it cannot change its function from what the Holy Spirit establishes it to be. The body was not made by love, yet love does not condemn it and use it unlovingly, respecting what the Son of God has made and using it to save him from illusions. Would you not have the instruments of separation reinterpreted as a means of salvation, and then used for this purpose of love? Would you not welcome and support the shift from fantasies of vengeance to release from them? Your perception of a body can clearly be sick, but project not upon the body, for your wish to make destructive what cannot destroy can have no real effect at all. What God created is only what He would have it be, being His will. You cannot make His will destructive. You can make fantasies in which your will would conflict with His, but that is all. It is insane to use the body as a scapegoat for guilt, directing its attack and blaming it for what you wished it to do. It is impossible to act out fantasies, for it is still the fantasies that you want, and they have nothing to do with what the body does. It does not dream of them, and they make it but a liability, where it could be an asset. For fantasies have made your body, your enemy, weak, vulnerable, and treacherous, worthy of hate that you have invested in it. Has this served you? You have identified with this thing that you hate, the instrument of vengeance, and the perceived source of your guilt. You have done this to a thing that has no meaning, proclaiming it to be the dwelling place of God's Son, and then turning against Him. This is the host of God that you have made, and neither God nor His most holy Son can enter an abode that would harbor hate, and where you have sown the seeds of vengeance, violence, and death. This thing you made to serve your guilt stands between you and other minds. The minds are joined, but you do not identify with them. You see yourself locked away in a separate prison, removed and unreachable, incapable of reaching out as being reached. You hate this prison you have made, and you would destroy it, but you would not escape from it, leaving it unharmed, without your guilt upon it. Yet only thus can you escape. The home of vengeance is not yours. The place you set aside to house your hate is not a prison, but an illusion of yourself. The body is a limit imposed on the universal communication that is an internal property of the mind. But the communication is eternal. Mind reaches to itself. It is not made up of different parts, which each reach the other. It does not go out. Within itself, it has no limits, and there is nothing outside it. It encompasses everything. It encompasses you entirely, you within it, and it within you. There is nothing else, anywhere or ever. The body is outside you, but seems to surround you, shutting you off from others and keeping you apart from them, and them from you. It is not there. There is no barriers between God and His Son, nor can His Son be separated from Himself except in illusions. This is not reality, though He believes that it is. Yet this could only be if God were wrong. God would have had to create differently, and to have separated Himself from His Son to make this possible. He would have had to create different things, and to establish different orders of reality, only some of which were love. Yet love must be forever, like itself, changeless, forever, and forever without alternative. And so it is. You cannot put a barrier around yourself because God placed none between himself and you. You can stretch out your hand and reach to heaven. You whose hand is joined with your brother's have begun to reach beyond the body, but not outside yourself. To reach, you share identity together. Could this be outside you, where God does not? Is he a body? Did he create you as he is not, and where he cannot be? You are surrounded only by him. What limits can there ever be on whom he encompasses? Everyone has experienced what he would call a sense of being transported beyond himself. This feeling of liberation far exceeds the dream of freedom sometimes hoped for in special relationships. It is a sense of actual escape from limitations. If you will consider what this transportation really entails, you will realize that it is a sudden unawareness of the body and a joining of yourself and something else in which your mind enlarges to encompass it. It becomes part of you as you unite with it, and both become whole, as neither is perceived as separate. What really happens is that you have given up the illusion of a limited awareness and lost your fear of union. The love that instantly replaces it extends to what has freed you and unites you with it. And while this lasts, you are not uncertain of your identity, and you would not limit it. You have escaped from fear to peace, asking no questions of reality, but learning to merely accept them. You have accepted this instead of the body, and have let yourself be one with something that is beyond it, simply by not letting your mind be limited by it. This can occur regardless of physical distance that seems to be between you and what you join, of your respective positions in space, and of your differences in size, and your seeming quality. Time is not relevant. It cannot occur with something past, present, or anticipated. The something can be anything and anywhere: a sound, a sight, a thought, a memory, and even a general idea without specific reference. Yet in every case, you join with it without reservation because you love it and would be with it, and so you rush to meet it, letting your limits all melt away, suspending all the laws your body obeys, and gently setting them aside. There is no violence at all in this escape. The body is not attacked, but simply properly perceived. It does not limit you merely because you would have it not so. You are really not lifted out of it. It cannot contain you. You go where you would want to be, gaining, not losing, a sense of self. In these instants of release from physical restrictions, you experience much of what happens in the holy instant, the lifting of barriers of time and space, the sudden experience of peace and joy, and above all, the lack of awareness of the body, and the questioning whether or not this is possible. It is possible because you want it. The sudden expansion of awareness that takes place with your desire for it is an irresistible appeal which the holy instant holds. It calls you to be beyond yourself, within a safe embrace, where there are laws of limits are lifted for you, to welcome you to openness of mind and freedom. Come to this place of refuge, where you can be yourself in peace, not through destruction, not through a breaking out, but merely by a quiet melting in. For peace will join you there, simply because you have been willing to let go of the limits you have placed upon love, and joined it where it is, and where it led you, in answer to its gentle call to be at peace. Mwah.